On November 21st, the New York Times reported that the International Criminal Court issued arrest warrants for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel and his former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, accusing them of war crimes and crimes against humanity in the Gaza Strip. In this video, we are going to break down the context of the arrest warrant, how did it serve as a deterrent, and the possible outcomes that this arrest warrant could pose. Let's begin. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict has been ongoing for nearly a century, shaped by pivotal moments such as the Nakba, the Six-Day War, the Oslo Accords, and numerous other moments of displacement, resistance, and failed peace efforts, all of which have entrenched the struggle and perpetuated the suffering of the Palestinian people. October 7 represents a defining event, as Hamas, a non-state actor, launched a surprise attack on Israel, killing an estimated 1,200 people, the deadliest in Israel's history. 1 year later, Israel has continuously violated international law by killing and bombing the Gaza Strip, and Israel has killed at least 41,870 people in Gaza, though the actual figure is presumed much higher. Israel believes it's done nothing wrong and has continued to target the lives of Palestinian civilians and populations under the justification of eradicating Hamas. The ICC has reasonable grounds to believe that Netanyahu and Gallant bear criminal responsibility for the war crime of starvation as a method of warfare, for the war crime of intentionally directing attacks against the civilian population of Gaza, and for impeding humanitarian aid for Gazans in violation of international law. The implication of this arrest warrant is the member stations of the ICC are expected to make arrests if Gallant or Netanyahu set foot in their countries, with 124 out of the 195 nations being members. Now that we're all caught up, how does the ICC's arrest warrant serve as a deterrent threat? According to Thomas Schelling, a deterrent is a threat intended to keep an adversary from doing something. It's supposed to effectively deter an adversary from taking an action without the need for war or escalations. The purpose of the ICC's actions is to deter Israel from its military strategy or tactics in Gaza and to hold its officials accountable for war crimes. This is a direct effort to force Israel to comply with international legal standards by threatening consequences, specifically arrest and prosecution. This also deters others from indulging in the behavior of unethical war practices as they see the potential consequences. However, even with the act of deterrence, there are factors that make this threat less credible and potentially ineffective. Yari Milo emphasizes in her work The Credibility Trap, where past behavior, capabilities, and resolve are all key ways to establish credibility. The lack of credibility is more evident in membering nations, as there isn't an imminent punishment for their lack of compliance. The U.S. serves as a prime example. The U.S. and Israel have served as allies since 1949, with the Biden administration funding in total $17.9 billion in military aid to Israel from October 2023 to October 2024, a record for a single year. The U.S. has disapproved of the ICC before, as the Trump administration has imposed sanctions on the ICC for their past investigations on the inhumane war conditions, specifically in Afghanistan.
As far as America is concerned, the ICC has no jurisdiction, no legitimacy, and no authority.
And let me be clear, we reject the ICC's application for arrest warrants against Israeli leaders.
There is a clear hypocrisy on how the U.S. views the ICC's role as an international institution, as the ICC also set arrest warrants on Vladimir Putin, and the U.S. has extended support for the court's arrest. This hypocrisy highlights Doyle's theory of a liberal paradox, as he believed liberal states pursue aggressive or imperial policies toward non-liberal states, contradicting the principles of peace and self-determination. The U.S.'s lack of support for the ICC's arrest warrant on Israel also may highlight potential fears of their past crimes against humanity, including Iraq, Afghanistan, and Guantanamo Bay. This also shows aspects of realist and liberal perspectives in power. As Trump and Biden conditionally support the ICC, they uphold the realist principle that power politics often override international norms or consistency. The U.S.'s support for Putin's arrest aligns with the strategic interest in weakening Russia, a geopolitical rival. This contrasts with the liberal views of the total prioritization of international organizations and the value of democracy and justice that these liberal institutions uphold. The U.S.'s bias towards Russia and Israel's arrest warrant can also be explained through democratic peace theory. Doyle believes that democracies are less likely to engage in conflict with one another. This can explain why the U.S. justifies defending Israel by emphasizing its shared democratic values compared to Russia, an authoritarian regime. Now, what are the possible outcomes that this arrest warrant could pose? This arrest warrant doesn't mean that Gallant and Netanyahu will be behind bars anytime soon. However, it serves as a wake-up call for the member nations of the ICC as well as Netanyahu and Gallant themselves. Professor Una Hathaway, an international law specialist, believes, according to her article War Unbound, that the U.S. should reflect on their relations with Israel and truly abide by international law. She believes that the U.S. should restrict its military assistance to countries that only comply with international humanitarian law, not just when providing military support, but also alliances. If they did, their reaction would be quick and immediate, and Israel should be one of the main considerations. The future of this decision also highlights the stag hunt model, created by Jean-Jacques Rousseau. It is a model of cooperation where states can achieve mutual benefits by cooperating. If Israel and the international community were to cooperate and enforce the international arrest warrant in hopes of bringing more peaceful and humane conditions for the civilians of Gaza, a more peaceful resolution could be possible. But the reluctance to trust in each other and personal motives like bilateral relations can hinder such cooperation. But even with this arrest warrant and potential solutions, many believe that Israel and Palestine cannot come to a peaceful ending of war. Freon, the theorist of the bargaining model of war, believes that states cannot come to a peaceful bargaining when there are private information or incentives to misrepresent, indivisibility issues, and commitment problems. Israel often misrepresents its willingness to negotiate by expanding settlements in the West Bank and maintaining the Gaza Strip, undermining trust and peace efforts. With an addition of an arrest warrant, Israel may perceive the ICC's action as a sign that the international community is about to take more extreme measures, like sanctions or further diplomatic isolation, which might increase Israel's sense of insecurity and lead to further escalation. Similarly, the international community might misinterpret Israel's resistance to the arrest warrant as evidence that Israel is unwilling to cooperate with international law, increasing tensions and reducing the possibility of a negotiated resolution. There also can be many indivisibility issues, as Palestinians view all of historic Palestine, including Jerusalem, as their ancestral homeland. The Nakba and the ongoing occupation have left Palestinians with the sense that any territorial division is unjust. Similarly, Israel may opt to reject the ICC's authority and continue its military operations, while the international community pushes for Israel to comply with international law, leading to continued diplomatic and legal confrontation. Finally, commitment problems are evident in Israel's repeated violation of agreements, like the Oslo Accords, through settlements, expansion, and military operations, leading to a widespread skepticism that Israel will not honor any future peace deals, further entrenching distress and prolonging the conflict. The commitment problem on both sides, Israel's commitment to its security and the international community's commitment to holding Israel accountable, could prevent any meaningful negotiation or de-escalation. To close off, we must acknowledge how powerful the ICC's arrest warrant are in truly holding political figures accountable for their war crimes, including Gallant's and Netanyahu's in Gaza, and see how the effects of liberal institutionalism can create an impact in peaceful international order.